I'm Dave Kassler, KE0OG, with another episode of Ask Dave. Stan Schultz, K2OHM, asks for an explanation of zero beating a CW signal, meaning a Morse code signal. Stan, thank you for your question. Morse code is no longer a requirement for ham radio, but lots of hams like to try it anyway. If you have an HF rig, almost certainly it has CW capability. And there are more and more slow code stations on the air so that even a complete beginner can try it out. So, to the gist of Stan's question, how is a CW station properly tuned in, and once tuned in, on what frequency is it best answered? That's a good question. Let's look first at this drawing for the theory before we go to the demo. The scale from left to right is frequency, in this case on the 20 meter band, with frequency increasing as we go to the right. When you put your rig into CW mode, the receiver is offset from the transmitter. The actual dial frequency is the frequency you'll transmit on when you press the key. Now, let's start with the magenta line, which is the so-called spot tone. You can press your spot button, or whatever it's called on your rig, and you'll hear a tone which represents the frequency difference between the receiver's 0 point and the tone. Usually the tone frequency and the tone volume can be set via menu settings. Now, what's that tone for? Well, if you tune your receiver so that you can match the incoming signal so that its tone matches the spot tone, as shown in the red here, then everything is set up so that your outgoing signal will match the frequency of the incoming signal. This is good because the other station, assuming it's set up right, will hear you exactly on its outgoing frequency. I set my spotting tone at 700 Hertz. You may find that some other frequency works better for you. Now, in all modern rigs, the frequency of the tone you hear is exactly equal to the offset frequency of the receiver. So you'll be hearing your own code with a tone frequency identical or nearly so to that of the incoming signal. Why is this important? Here's the deal. The sending station will hear you right on top of his or her own frequency, so he or she won't have to tune around to find your signal. Now, let me introduce the concept of a side tone. When you press your key, your transmitter will transmit and you will hear a tone. This so-called side tone provides crucial feedback to your ears that the key is operating. In other words, you hear your own code being sent. Let's do a demo. In the demo, we're looking at my Ten-Tec Jupiter. I hear an incoming signal. I want to tune it until its tone matches my spotting tone. Let's listen. Now, when I transmit, I'm transmitting on the same frequency as the incoming signal. This is called zero beating, meaning the beat frequency or difference frequency between the two tones is zero, or in other words, they match. What happens if the other station isn't zero beating you? The other guy might retune your signal so it matches his side tone, which might be a little off. You'll hear his response on a different frequency from before. Do you change your receiver frequency to spot him again? No. If you do so, both of you will keep changing frequency and you will chase each other up or down the band. So once communications are established, if the other station changes frequency, you use a feature on your radio called RIT, R-I-T, for receiver incremental tuning, which changes your receive frequency without changing your transmitting frequency. You use this to follow the other station. That keeps the QSO anchored in one place. In summary, you tune in the other guy's signal to match your spotting frequency. Then, later in the QSO, you use your RIT control to follow the other station. Like everything, it takes some practice. But the bottom line is to zero beat the station you're working with. Of course, we can't always get everything perfect, so the RIT control becomes your friend once the QSO has started. Now, let's say you called CQ and you hear a station responding who is quite a bit away from your spotting frequency. You stay on your frequency, but use the RIT control to bring the other station's tone frequency where you want it. Oh, and don't forget to reset the RIT to 0 once the QSO is finished. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Ask Dave. You can comment directly on this video on YouTube or at my website at ke0og.net, or you can send a question to me directly via ke0og.net/ask-dave. And do subscribe so you'll get more of these videos as they come out, and please share. If you'd like to throw a little something into the tip jar, you can do so using the YouTube method or by going to ke0og.net/tip-jar. This week's picture is of the Red Mountains that give Red Mountain Pass its name. Yes, they really do look like this. These are about 13 miles south of Ouray, Colorado, and the photo is taken from just west of Corkscrew Pass. Until next week, I'm Dave Kassler, KE0OG 73.